I never wanted this world to be the way that it has been shown. I know that I can't change what's wrong. The damage can't be undone. On the verge of a breakdown, I can feel it in my bones. On the verge of a breakdown, I don't wanna lose control. So please don't leave me all alone in this world, with no one there to call for help. I can't stop thinking I'm losing against the war inside myself. On the verge of a breakdown, I can feel it in my bones. On the verge of a breakdown, I don't wanna lose control. So please don't leave me all I never wanted this world to be the way that it has become. I know that I can't change what's wrong. The damage can't be undone. On the verge of a breakdown, I can feel it in my bones. On the verge of a breakdown, I don't wanna lose control. So please don't leave me all alone. Give me one reason to stay here, then I'll turn right back around. Give me one reason to stay here, then I'll turn right back around. Said I don't wanna leave you lonely. You gotta make me change my mind. Baby, I've got your number, and I know that you got mine. You know that I called you, I called too many times. You got to call me, baby. You can call me anytime. You got to call me. Give me one reason to stay here, then I'll turn right back around. Give me one reason to stay here. Oh, I'll turn right back around. Said I don't wanna leave you lonely. You better make me change my mind.
Warning: this podcast features adult subject matter, adult language, and things not meant for children to hear. Viewer discretion is advised. You've been warned. We could be. We might be. It looks like perhaps we are. We are live, ladies and gentlemen, here on the I'm No Joe YouTube channel for a special way earlier than it fucking should be. What did I say, show? Um, this is the recap show where I hold things accountable for what we said on the I'm No Joe podcast. Due to it being Labor Day weekend, my sleep schedule being all kinds of crazy, and prior engagements later on this evening, we are doing an early edition. So do not get used to this. I am generally not even awake right now, but we need to talk about the shit that went down last night. There was some fucking ridiculousness. Try and woosah a little bit. So I've got the actual card pulled up here. We may or may not have some other folks from the I'm No Joe show pop in. We'll see. Either way, I do see there are a couple folks out there live in the chat. Thank you to everyone who is here with us live. Thank you to everyone who catches this on replay. I appreciate all of you equally. You guys are awesome. Thank you for helping us get to where we are. As has been told to me by folks smarter than myself time and time again, before we get into it, I should tell you where you can get some more of this. If you are into, hang on, I can see I'm quiet here. There we go. That should be a little better. Okay, so if you are into what we do around here on the I'm No Joe YouTube channel, you can catch us on basically all social media platforms at I'm No Joe. Facebook at I'm No Joe, Instagram at I'm No Joe, YouTube at I'm No Joe. And if you just can't deal with these Instagram influencer level faces we've got on the program here, fret not, mon ami, we got you there as well. The all audio version of the I'm No Joe podcast is available through your podcast consuming platform of choice at anchor.fm/. I'm No Joe. And if you want to support the shenanigans we get up to around here, patreon.com/. I'm No Joe. Support and get you access to the behind the scenes shit, the unaired, and some would say even the unairable things that we do around this channel. So keep your eye peeled over there if that's something you're interested in. Either way, last night was UFC Fight Night Las Vegas 9 slash ESPN Plus, or UFC on ESPN Plus 39, I believe. 39 or 37, I don't remember now. Slash Overeem versus Sakai. Wow. So we talk about it basically every week on the I'm No Joe podcast, how the Backstreet Boys going around right now has everything in a bit of a tizzy. Um, it's been messing cards up all year long since it started becoming a thing. Lately, more so than ever, as it's starting to really pick up. We almost completely lost last night's card. Within the last 48 hours, there was 5 fights called off due to the Backstreet Boys showing up on one side or the other of a match. Um, we had went from an originally scheduled 14 fight card down to just an hour before the show started last night, 6 fights left. We lost more than half that card from its original booking. Um, we actually ended up last night with 7 fights as a single main card, no prelims. The smallest UFC event that has been put on since the Ultimate Fighter Season 2 finale in November of 2005. This was the smallest event fight wise the UFC has put on in 15 fucking years. That should tell you how serious this shit is getting right now. Like I said, though, we did go from the 6 fight card that we had left to a 7 fight. I don't even want to really call it a bonus. 7 fight card, as it were. In that 2 of the fighters who had both had their opponents pulled due to Backstreet Boys agreed literally within an hour of the event starting to fight each other last minute. So we did get 7 fights. We can go ahead and talk about all 7 of them because they're all fairly quick mentions here for the most part. Um, Started right out at the top. Hunter Azure versus Cole Smith. Way more exciting than that fight had any right to be. Uh, Definite crazy back and forth war. It looked like Cole Smith was just about done, and then he comes back from the brink to pull off a surprising. I don't want. It wasn't really an upset, but it was a definite valiant last ditch effort to try and win the fight. He still unfortunately lost via decision, but it was unanimous. Hunter Azure looked very hittable there for a while. He's had a hell of a rough go, but he started to look a little bit better. We'll see where they go from here. I think Cole Smith's stock actually went up in the process of that loss just because of the grit and the heart that he showed and the ability to dig deep when it looks like the fucking chips are down and you're gonna lose. He still fucking gave it his all and came out like a fucking boss. So props to Cole Smith, even though he did lose. Hunter Azure, I actually think didn't really gain that much positivity out of that win just because like I said, he looked very hittable, and he has not looked good in his last couple of fights. And for a new guy, you can't afford to have that much fuck up going on. That being said, one of the most surprising fights of an evening of surprising fights, Viviani Araujo versus uh, Montana De La Rosa. I hope somebody saw that flip catch. I don't know if it actually showed up on camera, but anyways. These ladies put on a fucking fight, man. I did not think under any circumstances this fight was going to go to a decision. It ironically ended up being the last fight of the evening that goes to a decision. Um, I don't know what happened. I don't know if she started training with her husband more when she shouldn't have been. Uh, but Montana De La Rosa has definitely made backwards progress on her striking. Didn't really even get a chance to go to the ground and work her, her specialty, her area of expertise. She stayed on the feet. She stayed striking with somebody who was out striking her at every fucking turn, and she wore it. She wore it just like her husband did the last time he was out there, and he couldn't strike for shit. He fucking wore every bit of it, and she just bled all over the fucking place. Props to Viviani. She was putting on a fucking striking masterclass against Montana, and I, I'm genuinely sad to see Montana just fucking whiff it in the striking department when she has looked good striking before, and also looked intelligent enough to get out of the way when she wasn't looking good in striking before. It seems a lot like she's making backwards progress, and that sucks because I've already seen her husband make backwards progress, and we don't want to see both of them slide out. Hopefully she gets her shit together, but Viviani put on a hell of a fucking striking class, man. She's definitely got some potential, and she's starting to show it. So props to her. She absolutely earned that fucking decision last night. Now, that will bring us to the beginning of the fuckery that unfolded last night. So earlier I had mentioned one of the 7 fights we got was literally made up of someone whose opponent had gotten scratched because of the Rona and someone whose opponent who had gotten scratched because of the Rona being booked against each other last minute. This was that fight. Brian Kelleher versus Ray Rodriguez. Ray Rodriguez is essentially, not literally, of course, but metaphorically a fucking Domino's delivery guy as of this morning. Um, that dude was about as newbie could get. He had no business being in there with Kelleher. It it was almost mean on the UFC's part to make this fight. Kelleher also moving up and fighting at 145 when he's a 135 pounder. So not only was there no chance for this brand new soup can to study any kind of tape on Kelleher, but he was just out of his league experience wise as well. And it absolutely showed in Kelleher getting a 39-second roll up guillotine on a dude who you could tell has never trained jujitsu in his fucking life. Uh, that man has never seen a guillotine. That man doesn't know how to defend a guillotine and should have never been in there with someone capable of putting a guillotine on him. That dude was brand new, straight out of fucking nowhere, had never seen anything close to a UFC caliber fight. Should never have been in there with Kelleher. I don't honestly understand how that man is in the UFC to begin with, but you could tell he had no fucking clue what he was doing in there. And Kelleher took advantage of that and wrapped him up. So, on one hand, props to Kelleher for getting a quick, simple win. On the other hand, what a piece of shit. And then he used that to talk all kinds of trash after the fact in the post fight press conference and then on social media afterwards. Just demonstrating why it's so fucking hard to like Brian Kelleher. Like, you rolled up to a division you don't fight in against a soup can who doesn't know what he's doing to begin with and didn't get a chance to study you. I think the guy's got 3 pro fights. Kelleher's got like 17 now. Like, that was just a fucking bad mismatch. That fight should have never taken place to begin with. And fuck Brian Kelleher because of it. You can't brag off his shit like that. That was a fucking classless move. Let's see. Fuck Brian Kelleher. He fought Pizza Guy. Yep. There we go. Sorry, just keeping up with my notes here. Excuse me. So that will bring us to one of the legitimate new guy versus new guy. I'm not going to say soup can, but pretty fucking close. New guy versus new guy matches that actually turned out to be pretty fucking spectacular. Another fight that had no business being as good as it actually ended up being. Andre Muniz versus Bartosz Fabiński? Yeah, I think it's Fabiński. Big old lanky fucking Polish dude. Great fight for the 2 minutes and 42 seconds that it lasted. As soon as it started to get fucking crazy, Muniz landed a very strangely positioned armbar, but had it cinched up and tightened in so hard and so quick, the tap was almost unseeable until we went back and saw the replay. Fucking props for throwing some smooth jits into the middle of a quick fucking roll and getting an armbar with the quickness. Beautifully fucking done. We'll talk more about him in just a little bit. But that will bring us to another emphasis of the shit show that we saw last night. I say it all the time, and I'm going to repeat it here because I have to remind myself. Regardless of how you feel about a fighter, if they get accolades that they deserve, or if they deserve accolades, they should get them. Michel Pereira is a fucking clown. That dude does not belong in the UFC. He sure the fuck did not belong on the main card last night. And I don't know what's worse, his clownery or the bad reffing that we saw in his match. To start with, the dude is a clown, and he acted quite like a clown during the fight. Showboating, just being a general condescending piece of shit. You're a soup can. When you get to world class level, then you can get away with a little bit of showboating. But when you're a fucking soup can, known for being a soup can, fucking don't. But in the middle of a scramble with, I believe, 21 seconds left in the fight, he jumps on the back of Imadaev, and in the process of trying to sink a choke, Imadaev reaches up to grab the hands behind him, hits his head, and the referee calls it a tap. Stops the fight. Even DC is yelling immediately, that was not a tap. You could see he was going to fight the hands that had just gone around his neck and bounced off his head, but the referee called that a tap. You watch it again in slow motion 2 or 3 times in a row immediately. It was clearly not a tap. But that means nothing to the fucking clown that is Pereira. He's immediately celebrating, he's dancing, he's showboating more. Then he goes into his post-fight interview, pretends that he earned that choke, that the guy actually did tap, and has the balls to call out Jorge Masvidal. I said it before the show started, and I stand by the statement now. They should have just canceled last night's event. They should have stopped the fucking card, canceled it last minute. It was on ESPN anyway. Just merge last night with next week, make it into a super card. It would have been so much better for everyone involved, except maybe the losers of the matches. But I have a firm belief that a lot of those matches would have been very different with a week postponement. That being said, the co-main fucking event. OS fucking P, boys and girls. We talked about it a little bit on the I'm No Joe podcast before the show. We were talking about it before the fight itself. OSP made a point a couple times during this week's press run-up to remind people that when he first came into the world of fighting, to the UFC, he was a striker that was just learning grappling. And everybody said, oh, well, you just got to take him down and you'll be all right. He's just a striker. Fucking flying. He was driving me crazy. But then he started to learn some grappling. And he learned some jiu-jitsu. And he got pretty fucking good at it. And then people started saying, oh, well, he's just a jiu-jitsu guy. He's just a wrestler. He just wants to land that Von Flue choke. All you got to do is stand and strike with him. People forgot he came into this world as a striker. He had hands from the get-go. He knew how to strike when he got here. He just adapted, and everyone had forgotten so much that he had adapted to being a wrestler that they considered him a wrestler and not a striker who had learned a new element to his technique. And it sure the fuck seemed like Alonzo Menafield forgot that OSP has hands, has real good hands. And you could see he was sloppy and he was heavy and he was rushing right out of the gate. And OSP was using brilliant fucking kicks and footwork and just staying right out of his fucking reach. And he was picking him off and he was picking him off and he was picking him off. And then the moment comes, OSP plants one shot right on the money, and you see it literally shut the lights off. Alonzo Menafield folded and hit the ground with no response, just bounced. And OSP knew it the second he connected and watched him drop and walked off. Didn't come after him, didn't even attempt to jump at him. He knew the moment he touched him, he shut the lights off. And then immediately came right over to check on him and to try and, make sure he's okay. Being a great fucking sportsman. There's one fly in here and it's going to drive me insane. I apologize in advance. I think I just hit the microphone. This fly is going to drive me nuts. But man, OSP, he's looking better than he has in a long time. And I think if we can see this OSP consistently, he can get back into a legitimate spot to be a contender again. So that'll bring us to our main event. Man, we said it on I'm No Joe, and he proved it in that octagon for us. There are levels to this shit. And Overeem, after being a professional fighter since 1997, he's on about the top of the level that you can get. He's challenged for the title before. He's never really been too far out of title contention, even in some of his bigger losses, like against Francis or against Rosenstrike, that got lucky at the last minute, who he was beating. Um, he's never really been that far out of title contention, really. I'll say this: Overeem looked pretty goddamn good last night, but he didn't look great. He looked good, but he didn't look great. The problem is, for him to realistically get another shot at that title, he needs to look great. And not only did he look good, but not great last night, Sakai looked like shit last night. You could see he was clearly frustrated. He was rushing. He was just being outmatched and outworked. He was not handling it the way that we have seen him handle guys who are a little closer to his level in the past. You could tell Overeem was on a different tier than Sakai during that fight. I'm kind of surprised legitimately that a couple times earlier in the match, Sakai didn't just give up or get fucking stopped. Credit to being a tough motherfucker, but man, as soon as round 5 came, which I can't believe it even got there, they came out. Reem just took him down and pounded him out in 26 seconds in round 5. And then immediately went over and checked on him and helped him even after Herb stopped the fight, went over to shake his hand and make sure he was okay. Again, consummate fucking professional, athlete with sportsmanship, great to fucking see on the highest level. I will give him this. He said the same thing during his post-fight press conference that those of us who were in the hangout room that we were in talking about the fight as we were watching it said, he's not quite ready to jump up and be the next guy in line for the title, but with one more good win, he will be. So we know that Francis and Stipe are happening. Jones is still talking about coming up to heavyweight. He's not made anything clear at this point. So realistically speaking, we've got Stipe and Francis lined up as the first fight right now, and then Curtis Blades and Derek Lewis, who are arguably going, the winner will arguably most likely be the next shot at the belt. So basically the loser of Curtis Blades and Derek Lewis versus the winner of Sakai versus Overeem. So Overeem versus whichever one of those two comes out on top for the next shot after Francis, assuming that John Jones doesn't officially throw his hat in the ring and get the piggyback over the entire, or the leapfrog over the entire rest of the fucking line, which there's a legitimate chance he might. We hope he won't, but there's a realistic chance that he might. So we'll kind of have to see how that one plays out. Now, with that being said, last night was another one of those weird ones where they didn't award a fight of the night for some reason. We had 2 go to decision, but we had 5 crazy finishes. And instead of giving a fight of the night and 2 performance of the night bonuses like they normally would, we had one of those weird ones where they don't give any fight of the night, but they gave 4 performance of the night bonuses. And they don't even really make a whole lot of sense, in my opinion, here. Brian Kelleher, which I don't agree with that being a performance of the night at all. At all. Andre Muniz, which I do agree with being a performance of the night. The way that he initiated that fucking smooth armbar, that deserved a performance bonus. The fucking clown himself, Michel Pereira, which does not in any way, shape, or fucking form deserve a bonus. Fuck that clown. But the one that I do agree with as well, aside from Muniz, OSP got a bonus for his fucking one-shot goodnight Gracie on Alonzo Menefeld. All in all, real weird fucking card. We knew it was going to be a bit out of the ordinary going in because we had already lost so many fucking fights off this card. And then last minute, it got even fucking crazier than it already was. But I don't think anybody could have predicted it was going to turn out like that. That being said, I am very interested to see how they play a lot of the fights that got scratched last minute and a lot of the things that they've got coming up, because We've got 2 more cards, and then we're going back to Abu Dhabi. I they're calling it Fight Island, hashtag not my Fight Island. That's such a shitty fucking deal there. But 2 more events at the Apex, and then we're going back to Fight Island for 3 more events. We'll talk more about that on the Joe Luminaries and I'm No Joe later on this week, though. That is going to be all we have got for this particular episode. What a weird, just a weird fucking event last night. I don't even know how to feel about it. It was just such a fucking strange showing. So we're just going to call it all for now. We're going to get the fuck out of here and let you folks have the good rest of your Labor Day weekend. That being said, if you enjoyed what we do, give us a thumbs up. If I brought you the recap that you were hoping for here, subscribe. I try and do this every week after the I'm No Joe. If I give you the insight that you don't see on the other recap shows and you can appreciate that, share an episode. We're trying to grow this goddamn thing. The other side of that coin, if I'm just some dumbass sitting in front of a weird floral pattern fucking wall talking out my ass, give me a thumbs down. I earned it and I won't dispute it. That being said, we are going to call it all for this one. So until next time, remember, don't let ignorance stop you. You can root for anything. Have a good Labor Day, folks.
Everybody was kung fu fighting. Those kids were fast as lightning. In fact, it was a little bit frightening.
How do I say goodbye to what we had? The good times that made us laugh.